All right, it's 1:15 on April 27th, and we are having an open space committee meeting, and it is being videoed. Smile. All right.
Thank you.
We don't have the minutes, but we'll look at them the next time from last meeting. Okay. So you want to go right to the plan?
Sure. So to give a brief update on the survey, we've got 11 responses so far, which is great. We just started, so I didn't expect to see a whole influx. Yeah, so far the response has been pretty good. No one under the age of 18 has responded to the survey, and no one in the age gap of 18 to 24 has responded. So, maybe you want to send it out to the schools. Try to do
I haven't pushed the flyers.
I figured there wasn't going to be a whole lot to discuss about the survey, but just wanted to give some updates on it and let folks know. And then 75 and over, we haven't had any responses there either. So just some things to keep in mind as we continue to push it out.
I got it up this past weekend at the main place in Uxlow, Cal.
Awesome.
So.
Okay, I got it at the Douglas Orchard and the library, which is closed, but it's inside the door. She's closed for a month, so. But I have all the other ones all in like little plastic things and ready to go. I'm just waiting for motivation, which will probably happen tomorrow.
And then hopefully you've seen I've got that little outreach spreadsheet in the OneDrive folder. So as you're posting things, either in person or on social media, or if you send out an email, just try to update it every now and then. That way we can put all that into the plan. Like I said before, it's not so much how many responses we get, but the sort of outreach that we do. How many times we're posting things and where we're posting them, how accessible it is. That's the more important part that the state cares about. So as much as we can document that, the better. Okay, so that's really all on the survey. I'm going to print off paper copies and get them to you tomorrow. If you need some more flyers, anything like that, let me know. I can print those off as well, and drop them off here, or anywhere else. It might be easy to pick them up. Okay. Next, the letters to the other boards. So I didn't get any additional comments on that. So if that letter seems okay, or that list of questions seems okay, I can print some off tomorrow and bring those as well.
They're out there.
She's already done.
Oh, I did? Okay, great.
Yep.
Awesome.
And I heard from the rec department, and he said that he would, he'd pass it along in there.
Okay, great.
And then the other was planning and conservation, which is the same box here, and then the historic, which probably they never check, but I will contact them.
Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, so, as you get responses back, feel free to send them to me, or, I can upload them for us so that everybody can see them.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. That's already out. Let me just... Okay, great. And then I just kind of wanted to do a continuation of our goals discussion. So based on that big list we came up with, it was about 3 weeks ago, I sort of pulled those into 4 different goals. We don't need to keep these goals, and definitely the wording of them we don't need to keep. I just kind of wanted to put them under a general topic. But those were preserve the rural character of the town. And under that, we have some keywords of farmland, scenic views, countryside, dirt roads, open space, and then wanting more open space and less development. That way we have less services we have to provide and more we can bring in on ecotourism. So that's goal number 1, and the order's, not significant. Next one, protect the town's natural resources. So some words we have under here are nature viewing, nature evolution, sufficient space to support our native flora and fauna, 6,000 acres of state forest, other forest lands. Some concerns we mentioned were habitat destruction, paving and impervious surface, invasive species, and some things that we hope to do are protecting our brooks and our water resources, hopefully limiting some pressure on our lakes and other water resources, and then linking open spaces and habitats together to have some more wildlife corridors. In that as well, another goal we could pull out of it if we wanted to, because there's a lot we talked about there, is climate resiliency. This is an MVP designated town, so we could have a separate goal just dedicated to climate resiliency. We don't need to do that, but I think we could definitely pull some ideas that we had into a separate goal as well if we wanted to add another goal. Let's see, third goal, improve the town's recreation opportunities. So here we've got hiking, horseback riding, biking, ball fields, courts, organized sports, places to play, easy access to trails, protection of these areas and sort of continued maintenance to make sure that we can use them, providing recreation for diverse groups, and then ecotourism comes back into play here of ways we can bring in outsiders into the town and have them spend money here. We mentioned marathons and mountain bikers, and then linking existing trails to other open space and recreation opportunities. And then again, another potential other goal we could have, if we want to add one, is accessibility. So this is where we might throw in some more ADA information. We can, like I said, we can have another goal. We don't need to. I just thought it might fit there as well. And then the last one I had is increase public engagement, knowledge, and utilization of our resources. The concern we had was policing of lands and properties, concerns with development, speeding on roadways, so fears of walking on sidewalks or biking on roadways, wanting to increase education and awareness, us against nature mentality, and then the lack of sort of understanding of the town and of what a rural community might have. And then just more engagement with potential private funding or just more support for town projects. So those are sort of the four I broke into with a potential for 2 other goals if we wanted to have them. Does that feel like it captures sort of what you think of when you think of open space and recreation? Yeah? Anything that we missed?
So I would like to add that I think last week I went to a meeting in Manchog, which is a village of Sutton, and they are looking at a MVP grant because Manchog Pond to Stevens Pond into Manchog, which is the Mumford, which feeds into Douglas, and I think it's critical that the towns work together. So
For sure.
I think that would be definitely something we should move into a goal or sub-goal.
Yep. And, with a lot of the Division of Conservation Services or science grants, if you have an MVP community, if you're a designated MVP community, and if you list similar goals in your MVP plan and in your open space and recreation plan, you get some sort of bonus points when you apply to those grants. So something to keep in mind when we're building our action plan we want to do this anyways, we want to be a climate resilient community, but it'll also help us in the future with getting some grants, hopefully.
So if we're an MVP town, because I didn't follow that process, that means we
Yep.
do have a plan?
Yep, so you have, it's called a summary of findings report. So what happened during the MVP process is there was this big planning workshop Specific stakeholders were invited, and, we talked about where are our biggest concerns in town related to climate resiliency, where are our strengths, and then how can we either maintain those strengths or build resiliency of those weaknesses that we identified. So there's sort of a plan with it. It's more of a summary of what was discussed during those workshops, and then there's like a small action plan. It's not full blown, it's more just ideas that the town should pursue. So we definitely want to take a look at that and try to incorporate some of that into our action plan.
Where does that live?
I had just joined CMRPC, so I don't know who was leading that effort at that time, but I can get a copy of it and I can send that out.
Yeah, if you could post that on the.
Yep.
That would be great. Yep, thank you.
What does MVP stand for?
Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness.
I can look on the town's website, but that's.
Yeah, I definitely have access to it, so I'll
I just
upload
can't
that.
find anything on that, so
Yeah.
I know, huh?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Is there an interest in having that fifth goal be some sort of building climate resiliency? Or do you feel like that would be better as an objective under protecting our natural resources?
If it would highlight that we are concerned about that, then that would be better to
Okay.
have it as a point,
I don't think we've
otherwise.
heard.
Okay, all right.
Some goal.
I'd like to see it as a fifth goal.
Fifth goal,
Yeah.
okay. Any other goals that we want to add? And again, we've got preserve the rural character of the town, we've got protect the town's natural resources, improve the town's recreation opportunities, increase public engagement, knowledge, and utilization of the town's resources, and then, let's see, maybe build the climate resiliency of the town. And again, we don't need to stick with the wording of any of this. This was just a general idea, so we can work on that more.
So that might be more of planning to, like, okay, the edge of the water is here, maybe we need to take a little
Mhm.
more or whatever, have
Yeah,
more better excuse to
Definitely.
go farther along.
Okay, well, if there are no other ones, then we'll stick with those 5 for now, but we can always add as we continue or readjust. I'll send these out, and then if you want to play around with the different wording, or if you like it, that's fine too. Like I said, I was just trying to do a general overview of where some of these ideas are laid out. I would like to not build our objectives yet, but just sort of similar exercise where we talk about them a little bit more in each of the categories. That way we can have, 2 to 3 or so objectives for each. Though, if we have less, if we have more, that's totally fine. And then just think, so our goals are sort of a really general, overarching goals. We get a little bit more specific with our objectives, but not so specific that we couldn't have action items underneath it. So, if we had an objective of protecting farmland or something related to farmland, then underneath it we could have specific goals. Research all the farms that are potentially up for sale, and does that kind of make sense of where objectives lie in our action plan? Okay. All right, so we'll start up at the top. And again, we don't need to have these fully formed, but maybe just some topic ideas for objectives. So some words that we had mentioned last time, like I said, are farmland, countryside, dirt roads, open space.
There's
scenic
no dirt roads, there's one dirt road left in town.
Okay.
By the time it's done, it'll be paved.
I think that was more in the context of like Ridge Trail or something.
Yeah,
in the forest.
Yeah.
But they're no dirt roads, but,
Orange Street.
yeah, Orange Street. Perry Street Extension.
Yeah. That's not a street. Wait, we're being taped.
Alright, so I've got farmlands and agriculture, scenic views, countryside, / rural, and then open space over development. Any other words that come to mind when we think of rural character? And this might be a good place to plug in historic preservation or cultural, anything that's cultural about the town that you want to preserve.
You said farms, right?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we should use the word agriculture as well.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if we were right to farm. If we passed the right to farm,
I'd be
Yeah.
surprised if we
but
haven't.
again,
Then who did it, yeah?
you can't find it.
Yeah.
We did. So that could be an objective, right?
Yep.
Research right to farm, if we don't. So this committee has struggled with Chapter 61 properties coming before the town that are already segmented to pieces, so that there's no, oh, I'm just taking 2 acres out. 2 weeks later, I'm just taking 2 acres out. 2 weeks later, so that defeats the whole purpose.
Okay.
So how can we research, or is there a mechanism to help us keep Chapter 61 contiguous so that it does make sense for us to possibly add it to town holdings?
Okay. Off the top of my head, I don't have an answer, but I think that would be a great objective of
Yeah.
we make that a priority and then we build in some action items underneath it. Whether that be, designated somebody like a staff person in town who's always looking at this or something else that we might come up with, but I think that's a great objective idea.
So the bulletin came out, and I haven't had a chance to read it, but there's a huge section that's a solar bylaw.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, we'd have to massage the wording,
Mm-hmm.
but, and maybe we need to talk about it, but as a solar array, a solar farm, do we still consider that rural, or is that in another category?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I had plugged solar under natural resources for the, I think, negative aspects of it, of like clear cutting forests to put them up. But if we also viewed it in a positive light of, farming sun or sunlight, I think you could list it in both areas.
Right, but if we're talking about preserving rural character,
Yeah, I don't know if
do
you
we see
consider
that as rural
that.
character, or we see that as a detriment, right?
I don't.
I think, in most of the towns I've worked with, I don't think they view solar farms as rural character. They view it more as a detriment.
It's more industrial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but so how would we work to,
That's not CUP anymore.
yeah, to make
Yeah.
sure that
Uh-huh.
those placements are more on brownfields or gravel pits than
Yep.
on
Forest.
farmable
Mhm.
or open space or clear cutting forest?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
That just makes no sense to me.
in this sense, again, it's really up to you all, but you could put it in the rural character because it's taking away from that, could be taking away from farmland, and then you could also put it sort of twice if you feel
Right.
strongly about it in your natural resources as well for any, again, clear cutting of forests, and then, you know, any erosion or runoff that happens because of the solar farms. So I think it would be worthwhile to post it twice or note it twice, you know, if you feel strongly about it.
I think that the objective Matt's trying to get to with that at the town meeting is more smaller plots, is what he was saying, rather than, you know, 40 acres or whatever, just make it a 5-acre solar array, and then it's not just.
But is that his, is the
It's
the
part of
language,
it.
is that his suggestion, the
I
language?
haven't finished
Yeah.
reading it, but
So I just wanna keep
yeah.
that
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
mix.
I'm still in the definition section, yeah. Good thing you got it out, it did come out a little earlier than the day before at least, so we have time to read it.
Okay, any other objectives for our rural category?
I'm talking viewscapes, was that in there?
They put scenic views, they'll put viewscapes too.
Maybe too much, I don't know. I always thought about if people put their houses further back on the property instead of right on the road, it just helps preserve the rural character, but is that getting too nitpicky on where? I realize some of the lots you can't get in the back, but
Or mandatory windows on the south side. That don't screen out the light so your furniture fades.
yeah, like too nitpicky, I don't know.
Great, yeah.
You know, maybe something in the whole design where it is, you know, plan home and around, you know, saving
Yeah.
things and, you know, not being able to be a little more conservative or whatever.
Mhm.
But it's driven by zoning, right? Because if you have a great view, a place to view, and it's zoned industrial,
Mhm.
you're gonna use that for your industrial expansion. It's
Right.
not gonna be an opportunity, so, I don't know.
But yeah, maybe there's some actions that we could come up with, or someone else might have, to preserve those scenic views, whether it be, you know, increasing whatever the setbacks are for your lot, or something else along those lines. But I feel like that's probably getting more down to an action level, a little bit more specific, but which is totally fine. We can write down these as well. Are there any scenic roads in town? You have a scenic road?
Or, I think Orange Street is a scenic road.
I'm not sure about that one.
Oak Street is a scenic road.
Okay.
Yep. List of scenic roads.
Yeah, find where the list is.
Yeah.
Anyone can make their own scenic road, you just have to bring it to town meeting.
Cool.
How do some of these developments, I mean, I don't understand why they just flatten every tree and the houses are right on top of each other. Leave a couple trees. I don't get why they take every single tree down in sight.
It's easier for
to
them.
build.
Yeah.
Is there something we could,
Get
Say
tree
about
removal
that.
bylaw or
Yeah.
something?
you know, like, leave a couple trees on the property, that you don't have to flatten the whole thing, you know, it's.
I remember
To
a
me,
town
they're-
meeting a while ago where they said that you really had to get a permit to take trees down, and everybody laughed in the auditorium. It was about 10 years ago.
And is there still a two acre
Zoning,
Some of these places don't look like they can possibly have 2 acres and they're right on top of each other. I don't get it, how they get around it.
They have little
so if they
pieces
have,
that go
if they
back,
have,
yeah.
if they have access to town water, so if there's a water line that they tie into, I think it's reduced. It's
Less than
reduced, it's less than 2 acres. But, and then I think we also have a density bylaw. I have to look at these things, so that in effect, if you concentrate your buildings and leave more open space, then you get like a bonus to add a building or two or something like that. So you leave more open space. But like this Sutton Douglas development, supposedly they looked at that and they said, oh no, a conventional build out is more economical to them or something like that. So to me, that says there's something wrong with our open space, our density bylaw.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe we have to look at that, because if we're not driving the builders to the density bylaw, what are we
Exactly.
doing with it?
Yep.
So that's heresy. I don't know about that, but that would at least speak some to maybe we do need something that says, no, if you have a fully wooded tree lot, you cannot cut down more than half or something.
Yeah.
And a retreat lot, then they push a driveway way in the back, and then how much do they have to cut down? Some towns must do that, I just don't know what,
Yeah.
you know. that'd
But
be a
there was
good-
a smart zoning thing that I remember we looked at for a while, which was everybody would, cluster together and, have maybe share washing machines or wells or whatever, and,
Well, people share driveways now, we have a bylaw that lets them share a driveway.
right, but only two on a driveway,
Right.
right? Yeah.
But
Or
that doesn't
Sutton
mean,
has more
if
than
they
that.
share a driveway, they don't need to clear cut both their lots, right?
Yeah, I have a shared driveway, and we just have, where our houses are cleared. And it's all woods in front of us, all woods in
Mhm.
back of us, and woods between the houses.
Mhm.
Any other objective ideas for when you think of rural character? It's okay if not, we do have a lot. Okay, all right, I will move on to the next one, but if you think of something, feel free to shout it out. Okay, next goal, protect the town's natural resources, so, let's see, oops. We've got, okay, nature viewing, forests, sort of native flora, fauna, water resources. Let's see, you can put solar again there. Get another detriment. What else? Habitat destruction as a concern. Invasive species. Anything else?
Connecting the trails.
You got an Indian in there.
Space connections. Sorry, what did you say?
Oh, yeah, open space connection,
Okay.
yeah, that's good.
Anything else? When you think of natural resources?
Endangered species.
Okay. Put that up with our rare endangered species. We do have a lot, so we don't need to keep adding. But if there is anything we missed that we want to put into a specific objective. Okay, perfectly fine. Okay, recreation opportunities.
I'm just gonna throw out air quality,
Sure.
because for that one, I'm trying.
Okay. All right, recreation opportunities. So we've got sort of our active and our passive recreation, which we should define sort of what you think of when you think of active and passive recreation. We've got hiking and walking. Biking, on road or mountain biking, horseback riding, just trails in general,
Cross-country skiing.
cross-country skiing. Let's see, we've got organized sports. Maybe more informal sports or pickup games. Ball fields.
Parking.
Yep, tennis courts. Other fields. Parking. We had listed or mentioned diverse groups before. So, youth, disabled, aging, other minority groups. Anything else? Or ecotourism too.
Bird watching. Stargazing.
Yeah, what night when the meteorite showers are supposed to be coming through?
Bird watching, wild
Yes,
hiking,
Swimming.
swimming, boating, fishing.
Water sports.
Yeah.
Is there any hunting here?
Yes.
Yep.
Hunting and fishing.
Alright, swimming, boating, fishing, hunting. Anything else? Okay. Any sort of, like historical walking tours or anything like that?
Nice idea.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a map of downtown, but there's a lot of historical, that could be, there's a definitely potential for that.
Okay, put that into sort of historical viewing, which we can sort of finagle the wording of that.
I think they would ever be, I know Uxbridge has a dog park, I don't know. Do you think that would ever be something people would want here?
Is that recreation? No, I don't know what, I think it'd be hugely popular, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you would put that under recreation. I don't know that it would necessarily fit under like rural community. So yeah, maybe that would be more recreation, like open space lands. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Next goal we have is increase public engagement, knowledge, and utilization of our town's resources. So let's see.
There's a historical walks, there we go.
Another historical
For the knowledge.
thing. We had concerns with development, so maybe this is where we stick some of those updated bylaws. Education, so, maybe some educational programs on
Nature.
anything nature,
Or stewardship of the.
stewardship of land, not using pesticides,
How important a tree is for carbon sink, don't cut it down.
The importance of that cutting.
I don't know, is Douglas history and natural history taught in school, in the schools? I have no
I
idea.
don't think so.
Why couldn't there be a seminar type thing on, we've got a really rich
Natural
history
history.
and natural history?
This might be somewhere where you'd want to stick if, you know, any cultural activities or events that you might want to throw, or if you have some that we would want to mention here.
We have a big fair in town, Oktoberfest.
Okay. Oktoberfest.
There's a farmer's market in the summer, I don't know if that counts.
Sure.
Where's that? In town?
It's downtown.
Is it? I haven't seen it in the last couple of years.
The farmer's market moved to Douglas Orchards.
Yeah.
But then
Oh, maybe.
I don't think it's there anymore. I don't know.
No, we can research it, find out.
The community garden,
Mm-hmm.
they talked about that, doing something like that over in the extra area around the high
Mhm.
school a couple of years ago.
You know, any youth groups, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, you know, these are all things we might mention.
The senior center has a lot of different things.
But again, it's that access to information, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
So knowledge and utilization, so that's what, maps, section on the town website devoted to
yeah,
pointing
Mhm.
people in the right direction.
yeah, because
What's
it's like,
available for recreational resource, any type of recreational
Mhm.
resource.
if you're looking for a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout leader, it's like, good luck.
Yeah.
The Greater Worcester Land Trust has a website called hikeworcester.com, and it lists all their properties. It has maps of all their properties and identification of size and trails and special,
Needs or,
yeah. I can see just what's available in Douglas. Oh, that, oh, yeah.
yeah.
Any other objectives that we'd stick under public engagement and knowledge? Okay. And then our last one. Is climate resiliency. So we just came up with this one. So what are some things you think of when thinking about climate resiliency?
Runoff management, erosion control.
Putting in place buildings or trails or whatever in floodplains or areas that's gonna,
And delineate water.
that's gonna be a good place to put them.
Like just flooding in general. Drought. High extreme temperatures.
Or, and or the fluctuation, extreme high, extreme
Mhm.
low. We're getting into those cycles in the winter lately.
Yep.
70 degrees, 20 degrees.
What else?
Well, I said erosion, but what about just holding capacity?
So groundwater storage.
Be flood.
Well, we have we have a reservoir with a dam, and so,
So like drinking water. Is that?
well, it's used for recreation. It's a backup drinking water source, but
Okay.
so if it's privately controlled, how does the town influence that through best practices?
Okay.
I mean, if there's a hurricane coming in September and the water level is super high, how do we influence they
Mhm.
take the boards down or whatever?
Yep.
Open the gate so that downstream, which is here,
Mhm.
doesn't,
Flood.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Flood control.
Hmm.
Or just in general, increased storms, severe storms, wind. Trees fall down a lot when it's really windy. Have you noticed an increase in that?
Because we have a lot of dead trees.
Really a lot
Dead
of
trees? You
right
can put
now.
dead trees down
Yeah.
too?
Because of the gypsy moths.
We have dead
Uh-huh.
oaks,
Yeah,
especially.
big time.
Dead trees. Invasive pests.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like the hemlocks.
Woolly adelgid, emerald ash borer, southern pine borer, gypsy moth caterpillar. We're not gonna have the trees though. So, acknowledging that, and there's nothing much we can do about the invasive insects, but
Mhm.
how do we manage that forest resource and that resource so that we turn it into something helpful to us, or
Mhm.
we repurpose it or something, because this also goes to why are we giving out burn permits?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So fires are gonna happen anyway, but
Mm-hmm.
how can we mitigate some of that?
Yep.
And we do have a place that's, I guess, collecting natural debris or whatever, but,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, does that include a, diameter log that could be used for firewood or
Mm-hmm.
some other purpose? I mean, it's all in a cycle, but maybe we can develop some best management practices or something like that to show people that there are other ways to.
Mm-hmm.
I know a town that's giving away trees this year. Everyone can come and pick up a tree if they want.
Cool.
But
Hmm?
Wellesley.
Well, they did it in Worcester, but that was after they cut down the
Right,
neighbors'
everybody's
trees.
trees, yeah.
But I think that's something we should look at, because if this place behind the VFW hall
Mm-hmm.
has a ton of wood there, are we just letting it rot? Is it something that people
Right.
could come up and get some firewood for? Is there another way to use it? Because
Yeah.
we've cut it down and we've taken it off the street and we've used all that resource to bring it up to one location.
But the rotting brings nutrients back to the ground.
And I would agree with that, which means it should have been left where it went down.
Yes,
And that's another part of
Education.
the management practice, yeah.
they're called Nurselucks.
Yeah, it's great habitat
Mhm.
generation.
Anything else?
What do you want us to solve all the problems? My brain is starting to hurt.
Oh, you're on a roll there, Lisa.
Yeah.
You're on a roll.
Just sit around and think about this stuff all day long.
Hanging out with the goats too much.
All right. And like I said, we've come up with a lot, so you don't need any more. But if there are more, feel free to send them to me. But I think this is a good start. So what I'll do is, take these topic ideas and try to put them into a couple different objectives. So next time we'll sort of solidify what our goals are. So take a look at it. I'll send this out. We can adjust the wording. However you want to say it is fine with me. And then we can adjust the wording on the objectives as well. And then what we can do is start putting some action items in. Usually we wait until our survey results and until our public forum to put in action ideas. But if you guys have some, we can start plugging those in now and then add based on what input we get from our residents. Okay, great. All right, any questions on our goals or objectives so far? Okay. I was hoping to have the maps today. They are not ready yet. I got maps for another project I'm working on, so I'm hoping that we're in the queue. But I figured what I was going to have us do was look at the maps and mark them up with some unique and scenic resources. Because they aren't made yet, if we want to do just a quick list of them now, I can send them to Matt. He's our GIS analyst, and then he can just put them on there already. And then we can sort of verify that the location's right, or if we want to add anything else. So that sound, do you have some unique features off the top of your head that we want to get on the map?
Oh, we have these maps that we've been using.
Some of, from the Heritage Landscape Inventory project, there's quite a few historic sites.
Yeah, so the unique and scenic features, it can really be anything. It can be historical sites. So if there's some landmarks in town that you want to put on, we can put on the scenic roads, or any scenic viewpoints. If they're not designated as a scenic road, but it's a popular spot in town that everybody knows about. Any specific recreation resources we can stick on there too, though we'll have an open space inventory map as well. Let's see. If there's a giant boulder, big tree in town that's, really popular, really it could be anything that you consider sort of unique to the town. Or scenic to the town.
Like that homework for the next meeting.
Okay,
Have a list.
that's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, do that for the next meeting. Again, hopefully we have the maps, but if not, what we can do is come up with that list, and then I can get it to Matt so he can put it on the maps.
One that pops in my head is that place in the state forest where you can stand and it's got the stone and you're in Rhode Island if you step one
Oh,
way.
the
you're in
tri-state marker.
Connecticut, you know, the
Yep.
tri-state
Yep, we would
marker.
definitely want that.
These castle caves.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. I think Tetro's land is now being preserved. Tetro's where the cattle walk was and everything in the woods. There used to,
I don't know.
yeah, that was part of the Heritage Landscape Inventory.
Or any farms in town, country stores,
Oh, the common,
common.
maybe the cemeteries.
2 comments,
Okay, so that'll be homework for next time. Like I said, hopefully we have the maps that we can actually look at, but if not, we'll at least talk about it.
The the Southern New England Trunkline Trail.
Mm-hmm.
Jenks store.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing I had was just to touch on the ADA self-assessment. So once Matt gives me those maps, he's also going to give me a list of all of the town-owned conservation and recreation properties. So just a reminder on the ADA self-assessment. It's a requirement for the open space and recreation plan. It is for town-owned conservation and recreation property, so you don't have to do it for private-owned, you don't have to do it for any state lands, just town-owned. And it has to be deeded that way, so if it's not deeded as conservation land, you know,
But it has to say whether it has access or not, or,
there doesn't need to be access, well, if there's no access to it, you don't have to do, that inventory sheet. So if you've got any like water protection supply land, you know, no one's gonna be utilizing that space, so you don't need to or do an assessment on its accessibility. That makes sense?
It's not public access.
Yeah, so if there's like forest land, but there's no access to it, there's no like trails on it or anything like that, it's just like sort of protected forest land, you don't have to do an inventory assessment on that. So there does have to be public access to it if you're going to do, so it's town-owned, conservation and recreation land, that's publicly accessible. So what we'll do is, once I have that list from Matt, we'll look through and we'll identify which ones we actually do have to do that assessment on versus not.
okay.
But I just wanted to sort of bring that up again. You know, we don't need to have it done until our final submittal of the plan, but it can be a lengthy process, so I just like to bring it up every meeting. But yeah, so once we have that list, we can go through and see which ones we actually have to do versus not. And then in the OneDrive, there's some more information on what the assessment is going to look like. But until we have that list, I don't think we need to really get into what we actually have to do with that. But there's a couple of parts to it. Unless we want to talk about it now.
Need to look closer to
Okay.
what things, that way we won't forget in between.
Awesome.
And that's your mat, not our mat, right?
Yeah, my mat. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, I was thinking it was our map.
The mat guy there is.
Okay, and so that's all I had for my list. Any questions on anything we discussed or any sort of remaining questions? Okay. So I'm gonna print off surveys for you. Do you want maps too? Or not maps, flyers? Do you need any more flyers?
I think, I mean, I have 30, I don't know, I'd be willing to give anybody some flyers too if they want. You know, I figured I can run around tomorrow and put most of them up.
And then I had created, I think I put it on the OneDrive, a sheet that we could cut into for postcards. Do you want me to print off some of those?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you want to print, you know, another 10 or 15 more of the little ones, and when I meet you, I can just get those. I could just put them in the open space box if anybody wants it. It's in the copy room.
Okay. So I'll email you later today, and we can sort of figure out a time to meet to drop that stuff
I
off.
haven't been able to get a Hotmail today yet.
Okay. We'll figure, or if not tomorrow, I could bring it Friday too. You know, anytime is fine with me. All right. Any other questions? All right. I'll send out some updates. Oh, next meeting.
Yeah. What about the 18th at 1 p.m.? Wednesdays are better actually for me because, like, if you have to get the minutes in 48 hours and then no one's here on Friday, it means like Thursday or something.
Mhm.
That's a whole almost week ahead. 18th.
18.
Wednesday. Is that okay?
I will actually not be around on May 18th.
What's the next time you could?
I could do the Tuesday before the 17th or the 19th. That's Thursday.
Tuesday's fine. Tuesday, okay with you?
Sure, instead of the,
Yeah, the 17th.
But then going forward, we could do Wednesdays. It's just that
Yeah,
one
no,
in
it's just-
particular.
it's a stupid reason. I can write it down.
Okay, so Tuesday,
so Tuesday,
Yep.
1 o'clock.
May
Yeah.
17th, and then, yeah, usually I'm free on Wednesdays, but I'm at a conference all day.
Mhm.
All right, great. And I'll give some updates between now and then on the survey just to see how the numbers fluctuate and if we need to target any specific groups. But I think, so, I mean, we just launched it, so I'm not concerned at all about, who's responded yet.
Yeah, yeah, I don't have any.
The moderator is gonna put it up on the screen for the QR code on the
Awesome.
screen
Great.
for town meeting.
If they need anything else or if they need anything in a different format, just let me know. I can send a updated QR code.
Hmm. Sorry.
Oh,
He's in another thing.
17th is okay?
Yeah.
Oh,
You want to see the letter I wrote to all the boards? You're welcome to. I don't know. Did we send it to you?
I think you did send it to me.
That we sent it with your little questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you
Doesn't
sent it.
matter. It's out anyway. It's too late.
But yeah, as you get responses, if you want to send them to me, or I can come if you get them in in paper format, I can come and scan them and then put them on the OneDrive so we can all see them. All right, great.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Danny.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
See ya.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
All right. Next is the Duval Road property that our Matt was gonna talk to them and maybe see if we could walk it.
Permission.
Yeah. But, well,
Did he do that?
not that I know of.
Is he down there?
I don't know. We can, we can do that afterwards or whatever. You wanna
Chase him
do
down?
that?
Wanna find out now?
Yeah, it would be a good time to do it too, as far as the water level and stuff like
Yeah,
that. See
and then
what's-
all the leaves are out.
Yeah. 'Cause
What's that? And the other thing too about the wording for planning board, so we could review things
Mhm.
too. He was gonna.
I thought he did do something about that, but I don't know. Yeah. Include us. And I'm supposed to submit those minutes to the town clerk, right? And he's gonna ask her all the minutes. I need to send them in. I have them all that you have done, and I think most of them you've sent. If you send them to me online, that's the best because, but most of them I think I have online.
Mm-hmm.
To send to her to put in the file from the past.
Well, I keep a copy of everything. I've got
Yeah.
a folder with minutes, so.
Yeah. Just bring them to her and she can scan them too. Anybody want any
Would
flags?
it be easier if she got them in email format?
Word,
post them?
yeah. That's the way I send it too. It looks like the agenda comes to her on Word.
Then she wouldn't have to scan it to put it on the
Right,
website.
right. But I'm just saying, if we didn't have it online, then I could just
Mhm.
bring a paper copy of it.
Okay.
Because I have those.
Is there, can you quick look at one of those posters
Mm-hmm.
for the survey? thing on my phone yet, I just never gotten around to downloading the QR app.
It's right in your camera. You know, I mean,
Yeah, I think you just have to take a picture of it.
you just take a picture of it and
It sends you to the link.
listen.
Really?
We did an equine affair to get free buckets and stuff.
There it is. See?
I've never, I thought it was a special app.
I think it used to be, but
I just did not know that.
if you have a recent phone, it should, or semi-recent. Mine, I just point it, and as soon as it sees it, it gives you the link.
Mine doesn't.
How old's your phone?
Couple years.
Mm.
It just, it's, my camera is not doing that.
Pull it back a little. Not showing you a web link?
Nope.
Okay.
You have iPhone?
Mine does. No, it's
Android.
Android.
Really? Okay, so
It's
mine,
It's on mine, and mine's probably a little
mine's not
worse.
doing that.
I see it. Pretty sure it works on mine.
So is Matt in?
Because I did
Yes,
it for equine affair to get a free bucket.
He had not had a chance to speak with them, and there were some conservation things that had to be scheduled. So he has a conversation with one of the gentlemen today, and he will ask them, and then he will email us.
Okay.
See what it says, Beck? It says webpage, you get, it puts little brackets around it, might be because it's shiny. See that?
Huh.
And the web page comes up and you just go there.
My phone's not doing that.
I'm gonna try.
You might have to do a paper copy like me.
It's
No, you can go
also,
online.
It could be in the settings too, sorry.
Yeah, it
I
could
can
be.
do
I
it
just,
online, yeah.
my camera's down the.
There's a link to the survey on the web too. I mean, through SurveyMonkey.
So you just go to this SurveyMonkey and that,
Mhm.
and fill it out?
Yep.
Wow.
That's what I was looking to see, if there was a web address on there.
It's not doing it?
Bart was just an easy way to.
But if you take a picture, will it see it?
I already tried to take a
Oh.
picture and it didn't do anything.
Oh, but wait, there's, I'm sorry. Let's see.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, if it's the shiny stuff.
No, it's gonna be settings on my camera or whatever. I wonder if I got location off on that, does that make a difference?
Do you have modes and stuff within your camera? Because I can also pick a mode, and one of them is
Setting.
lens,
Hmm.
which should do it also.
Something else I need to learn about
GPS is
technology.
off, picture size, picture quality. Oh, wow, there is a tutorial on your phone though, it might tell you how to do it.
I'll look that up at home.
All right, any new business?
I will share that it's my understanding that at the May 17th Board of Selectmen's meeting at 7 p.m., there will be another hearing about the Southern New England Trunk Line Trail, the DCR proposal,
May 17th?
Tuesday,
At what time?
7.
I'll be down here twice.
Mm-hmm.
May 17th at what, and May 17th at 7.
So anybody can come to that meeting? Yes. Thank you for that. Yeah. What time is that meeting?
7.
And where?
Well, I believe it will be the first thing
Here.
on the Board of Selectmen's meeting agenda, but it has not,
Hold on.
I don't think it's been posted yet.
Yeah, that's awful, we're still in April. Did I agenda that early?
Should we all just send them out of it then?
Yeah, I think just 48 hours. Well, she's moving us right along. She's doing a lot of stuff too, which is great. She basically puts it together. you want a flyer to take home and play with.
They have the big ones,
That's the size I printed and used, I put them in
Yep.
sleeves.
Tomorrow's planning board meeting, has the solar bylaw, I think some discussion about that solar bylaw on it, as well as they are announcing the open space and recreation plan survey, so.
oh, good.
So our next meeting is the 17th at 7:00.
So I'll be here at 1 o'clock and you'll be here at 7 o'clock.
That's right. All right, since there's no new business, I make a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.